Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the show. I'm Brett the Jet in the booth with Turn Through Racing Network, and tonight we are back at New Smyrna Speedway here with the American Sim Racing Club Street Stock Series. Let me make sure we got the right one loaded here with the right graphic, and we'll get that all sorted out now at IRP as we get this rocking and rolling. Qualifying underway here tonight. So we'll take a look at drivers on the speedway. So far, a lot of cars with a lot of times in so far. Hayden Swank with the quick time here tonight. Now looking at the 13 machine of Zach Coyer, lap number 1, 19.85 right now. Quick time with Swank, a 19.53. Stephen Rochford, 19.83. Zach Coyer picks up a little bit of time. Lap number 2. We'll put him up to P number 8, 19.73 for the 13 machine. Dave Payton out here on the speedway as well. Lap number 1 in the books. Good enough for 5th quick. A 19.61 for the 38 machine. Caleb Ramsey will jump up to P number 8 there in the 41 as well. Payton off of turn number 4 for the final time here tonight. And he will cross the stripe and wait and see if he does pick up time. Yes, he does, but barely any. Does not improve any positions. 19.60 for the 38 machine. Now we take a look at a guy that hasn't been here in previous weeks. Picked up a lot of wins here in the Street Stocks. Going for another checkered flag here tonight. It is the 44 of Zach Nichols. Nichols, lap number 1 in the books, goes quick time on lap number 1. The 44 machine lays down a 19.52. It looks like we'll call it at that. So Nichols with the quick time here tonight. And just like all season long, folks, we will have a top 12 car invert. And from there, these drivers racing for, I believe, going to be 75 laps. But, yep, that will do it there for qualifying. Head over to a 2-minute warm-up. Let everyone get ready to rock and roll for the feature event. But have to give a big shout-out to the 44 of Zach Nichols, walking away with a quick time here tonight at New Smyrna. Also coming into tonight, points battle is alive and well. Andrew Payne currently sits 3rd in points, but is away on vacation this week. So Payne going to lose out for a chance at a championship. That only leaves now Tim Rogers 2nd in points, about 10 points back from our points leader. That being the 66 of Stephen Rochford. So here at the penultimate race of the summer series, we got to keep an eye on the 48 and the 66 duking it out with only 1 week left. Next week at Iowa, we will crown a champion for the summer series. So it's going to be a lot of fun, going to be action-packed. And with a little bit of time, let's go over some race information here at the half mile of New Smyrna. A nice cool night, 70 degrees, same with the track temperature. A little bit of humidity, barely any wind, so it looks like a nice night for some short track racing. Of course, we got to thank ASRC as well as their partners, that being LaPlante Racing Products, Boardwalk Subs, as well as Postma Flooring. So here we go, about 20 seconds left in warm-up, and then we'll turn these drivers loose for their feature event. Of course, with last week, I believe Anthony Danta winning the race. Danta not here tonight, so no shotgun driver, no one eligible for the points as well. So as we finish up, warm up, everyone where they are gridded will be where they start unless they elect a self-induced EOL. But here we go. Warm up is set and we'll get ready to go through tonight's starting lineup. So here we go, folks. Tonight's starting lineup for the penultimate race will look like the following. Ace Hart in the 145 machine. He led the field to the green flag last night in the late model stocks. Gonna do the same here tonight in the street stocks. The 145 of Ace Hart will lead the field to the green flag. Tis outside the 13 machine of Zach Core. Man, that's the same exact front row as last night. That's definitely wild. But that's how they stack up here on Wednesday as well for the street stocks. Rolling off third will be the 013 of Tydelphia. Then in fourth is Caleb Ramsey in the 41. Rounding out the top five, going to the 86 of Stephen Hoffman. And two's outside, a name we haven't seen too often this season. Glad to see him out here tonight. It is the 45 of Andrew Hardings. Rolling off seventh is the 38 machine of Dave Payne. Eighth going to the 51 of Ron Hart. Tim Rogers in the 48 machine will roll off ninth. 10th going to the 88 of Chuck Darling. 11th is Hayden Swank in the 35. And then our quick time qualifier, Zach Nichols in the 44 will roll off 12th. 13th will be the 014, that is JT Batson. 14th is our points leader, starting deep in the field. He will roll off 14th here tonight, as that will do it for the starting lineup. As this time by, the field will get the one to go. We will turn him loose next time by. So here we go. It's going to be Ace Hart, Zach Coyer on the front row of this one. Ace Hart in that Prime Energy 145, going to be in control. Can fire off anytime once the iRace and Pace truck heads down pit road. We'll do so here. Ace Hart early on the loud pedal. And we go green flag racing for 100 laps here at New Smyrna. Zach Coyer gets a good run late down the straightaway, sends it in there deep. Ace Hart with the shorter distance down in the corner. They will drag race down the backstretch. Head into turns number 3 and 4 here. The 145 still holding strong on the inside lane, but at the stripe, Zach Coyer will lead lap number 1. Coyer will be able to drive it in there deep, get clear there. So Zach Coyer out in front of the field. Further on back, side by side, Stephen Hoffman, Andrew Hardings. First cars side by side out here. As here comes Caleb Ramsey, will make a move to the inside of the 145. I think Ace Hart maybe got a little bit loose there on corner exit. Had to save the race car, lost a little bit of that momentum. All that time off of turn number 2, just kisses the wall there. As the top 2 have gone up out of the way, Ace Hart makes it way up on the speedway, staying out of the way here, as a whole bunch of cars will go on by there. Further on towards the front now is still battle for fourth, as Andrew Harding, Stephen Hoffman still side by side out here. Right behind them, the father-son duo of Ron and Ace go side by side. Ron will take that spot. Here comes Tim Rogers through, trying to bring along some other Camaros, that being Chuck Darling and Hayden Swank. Out towards the front though, last time by, Caleb Ramsey, fastest car on the speedway, looking to try and get around Zach Coyer for the race lead, but Coyer so far hanging on to the point here as he has a near full of that 41 machine. Andrew Harding's finding some momentum up in that second lane. He has driven up into third. Tydelphia in fourth. Stephen Hoffman rounding out the top 5 at the moment. Further towards the back here, Zach Nichols started in 12th, is currently still in 12th, so the 44 not making too much progress to the front, but I think he knows a long race ahead of him. 100 laps here, gonna try and keep the tires underneath that race car and be there when it's all said and done. So far, things kind of cooling on off just a little bit here. First, now make it 9 laps at the start-finish line. All clean and green here for the ASRC Street Stock Series at New Smyrna. You can start to see here some rotor glow from our leaders. A little bit of right front rotor glow you'll see going into the corner right there. So these guys, their tires and brakes up into temperature. We'll have to see who is the first to fall from a lot of wear here, as you see Ty Delphia letting Stephen Hoffman go. Ty, I think without Andrew Payne here tonight, I think this 013 machine, the red and white 13, should be able to take over third in points and look for its best ASRC championship points finish here so far. Further towards the back here, JT Batson trying to work over Ace Hart. Oh, not sure if it was contact or what happened, but Ace went shooting up the racetrack, able to hang on to that race car, but will fall on back. We'll try and now run his pace as he doesn't have to worry about any other cars here at the moment. Here in the midfield, we see Ron Hart starting to put a lot of pressure on the back bumper of Dave Payton. Let's ride on board with Ron Hart, see what he is seeing from his dash. As you see him cross over and make the run, time it up perfectly, and Hart will get on through. Let's now look to second in points, Tim Rogers, see if he can get around the 38 machine of Payton. Payne there a little bit loose right before the apex. I checked up that line just a little bit. Tim Rogers probably had to wait on the throttle a little bit longer than what he would have liked. As we saw just before Ron Hart getting around the 38 machine, Rogers has yet to do that as well. Rogers kind of quickly got up to 8th position, but has been kind of stuck there at the moment here so far in these first 15, now make it 16 laps. Zach Coyer starting to check out from Caleb Ramsey, but both first and second, quite a bit of a gap. Then over third of Andrew Hardings, and a little bit of a gap once again to Stephen Hoffman, then an even bigger gap to Ron Hart. So the top 5 definitely spread on out. Then behind Hart, it's kind of quite a few gaggle of cars are able to get around the 013 Adelphia. Now Dave Payton going to try and do the same there in the 38. Dave down low in the 38, Ty up top in the 13. Ty has to be careful here. Could get hung out for quite a few cars as they have Tim Rogers right behind Hayden Swank, Chuck Darling all right there as well. Ty going to try and hold strong up in lane number 2. Going to be able to still stay to that right rear quarter panel of the 38 machine. Now here comes Rogers, going to try and fill in the gap if he can. Ty gets a little bit loose, trying to get on that loud pedal a little bit too early. Now opens up the door here for the 48 machine. Able to draw even here and will be even down the front stretch. As we saw kind of last night, you know, top lane in 1 and 2 can hold their own, but when it comes to 3 and 4, very, very tough to make that second lane work. As if you get to the inside, you'll probably be able to complete the pass in 3 and 4 and on the exit of 4 here at New Smyrna. Ty able to finally get a gap there in the 13 machine right behind Chuck Darling. Right behind them, Zach Nichols, Steven Rochford goes side by side. Now Rochford with a little bit of some momentum. He will go to the outside of the 13 machine. Rochford will be able to get into the top 10 there with that move. Now Zach Nichols going to try and do the same thing to the 13 up in the second lane. They make contact, maybe a little bit of more contact. Nichols going to try and get clear here down the front stretch. Looks like he won't just be able to, so now has to take the preferred line through 1 and 2. Now we'll get clear of Ty there. Out in front, Dave Payne trying to reel in Ron Hart just a little bit. Hayden Swank got around Tim Rogers for then the 7th position. So Hayden Swank, one of the cars on a mission, biggest mover so far here tonight. Up 4 positions from starting in 11th. He is up into 7th here with a quarter of the race already done and over with so far. So far it's been all green and clean so far. As tires start to go, they know the hourglass starts to run out. We'll see the intensity continue to click on up. As here we go, battle for second, heating on up. Andrew Harding and Stephen Hoffman have tracked down the 41 machine of Ramsey. We'll keep an eye on this. This is going to be the best battle on the speedway here. Right on board with our second place driver currently, Caleb Ramsey. Take a look back here at the 45 machine of Hardings, then the white 86 of Hoffman. Let's take a listen to some throttle input, see if we hear any tires squealing or if these guys still running within the limits of the race car. Last time by, further on back, 10th place, Zach Nichols, fastest car on the speedway. So Nichols going to be trying boogieing through the field as further on back, side-by-side racing action. I think we got to go to that here, folks, as it seems like Harding has caught the 41. Whole nother animal to try and pass as we take a look here. Hayden Swank getting around Dave Payton. Payton going to chop the nose off the 48 of Rogers and try the crossover move here on the 35. These guys slicing and dicing, duking it on out. This is now allowing Chuck Darling to enter the battle. Same with now the 44 machine of Zach Nichols. Nichols able to get around the 66 of Rochford. Now here comes Tim Rogers trying to get high side and handsome. Trying to get around the 38 machine the hard way up in lane number 2. A third of the way done through tonight's show here. Tim Rogers able to complete the pass there on Payne. So Rogers up into 5th, or excuse me, 7th. If they stay where they are, if they were to finish right where they are, Rogers would knock off another 4 points off the lead of Stephen Rochford. Now here comes Darling trying to work over Payton. We'll get a nose to the inside of the 38 machine. Those two will go side by side as Payton starting to slip back in the positions. Further up front, Andrew Harding's under fire from Stephen Hoffman. We saw Harding's not be able to get around Ramsey. Now Hoffman will try and get around Harding's as well as this battle we're watching on screen. Still side by side. Chuck Darling trying to tiptoe around the bottom. Dave Payton trying to keep as much momentum up in lane number 2. Going to be pretty even by the time they get to corner entry, but advantage Chuck Darling. Now Darling will get clear. What kind of run can Zach Nichols get? He can't capitalize right away, as Darling will look in the mirror, try and shut the door on Peyton. Further up front here, Stephen Hoffman get around Andrew Hardings up in the second lane. So move Hoffman up into Pete number 3 as they run. They'll try and set the sights now on second place runner Caleb Ramsey. Currently here, Zach Coyer out in front by a second and 3/4. If there's one guy that doesn't want to see a caution flag, it is our race leader, Zach Coyer, still looking for his first ever ASRC win. Things starting to cool on off just a little bit last time by Chuck Darling. Fastest car on the speedway, so Darling in some clean air, starting to work that 88 machine. Maybe save those tires, maybe starting to use them up here. As further on back, battle for a top 10 here tonight, as Stephen Roachford trying to get around the 38 machine of Dave Payton. Those two Monte Carlos will go side by side. Roachford will be able to clear. Here comes the 13 of Ty Delphia. They'll make contact, they'll get stuck together. Dave Payton will go on around here. And if there is one thing Zach Coyer didn't want to see, it is exactly that. As we get our first caution of the evening, we saw it live, but let's take a look here on the turn 3 race and replay. As you see Ty Delphia, Dave Payton get together. They get unstuck, but then their cars unload. That gets into the secondary contact. Luckily, Payne does a good job at keeping it off the wall, but he will go to the tail end of the field. We'll see if the 013 taps on out. And with that spin, it's maybe a little bit more bummer for the 38 machine, as that handling definitely hurting on that race car, but also no tire sets in the pit. So with those getting hot in a big slide like that, the only way he can get them back is cool them on off as much as he can here, and then hope that, you know, something's there at the end of it. Oh, interesting call here. Zach Nichols down on pit road. No tire sets, like I was saying. So maybe just trying to fill up that 44 machine or check for some damage. But interesting call here by Zach, as he is down on pit road. Like I said, one car that didn't want to see this caution, our race leader, Zach Coyer. Here, the field slows, bunch on up. So his advantage in that race lead gone and erased with this first caution. Zach Nichols away down from pit road, so he will get that car rolling. And oh man, look at that, folks. Zach Nichols not going to time it out right. He will get trapped one lap down here at New Smyrna. And I was just about to say, there are no cars one lap down. Now scratch that saying and say there is one car one lap down, the 44 machine. So here we go. This time by leader, again, the choose option. Can choose the inside or the outside. Also with that, it is our 1 to go signal. So it looks like Coyer going to choose the outside lane here on our first restart of the night. The rest of the field will re-rack, restack, and we turn them on loose just under halfway to go here tonight. So the 13 machine of Coyer gonna be in control. Caleb Ramsey in the 41, other car on the front row, but here we go. The iRacing pace truck gonna dump on off, and we wait for Coyer. He gets on the loud pedal here, and we go back to green flag racing here at New Smyrna. One car a little bit slow there. I believe the 86 of Stephen Hoffman maybe missed a gear there, having some sort of issue, losing a lot of positions as he'll look to go 3 wide now. Hart in the middle of 3 wide. One big advantage from that one here. Hayden Swank has driven up to P number 3. Currently he's trying to get that third position away from Andrew Hardings. Both those guys going to go side by side down the backstretch. Front 2 single filed out. As the rest of the field 2 by 2 behind these two. 2 cars side by side. Tim Rogers, Chuck Darling. Those two having an incident from last night. Hopefully both those guys forgot about that. Say, hey, that was last night. We're up to this night, but they were side by side for a little bit here. Hayden Swank able to get clear of Andrew Harding. Now Ron Hart will try and work the high side of the 45. And with this reshuffle, now Steven Roachford has driven up into 9th right behind Tim Rodgers. So that points battle alive and well this time at the stripe. We go cross flags here, halfway down, halfway home, in the penultimate race of the Street Stock Summer Series. Stephen Hoffman, man, not sure if he's having an issue on the 86 or what is going on, but he has fallen like a rock since this restart. He has dropped now all the way to 8th position as he maybe can finally find a gap behind the 48 of Rogers. The two Stevens will go side by side here through 3 and 4. Hoffman up top, Roachford down low here as they drag race down the front straightaway. Roachford will drive in their depot. Hoffman should have the momentum, should get the run off the corner. Andrew Harding still trying to hang on to a top 5 finish here. Trying to hold off now the 8 of Chuck Darling. So it looks like now Stephen Roachford will get clear. So Roachford up into 8th. He is our second biggest mover of the night. The first biggest mover is our 3rd place driver, Hayden Swank, who is slowly starting to close the gap to Caleb Ramsey in 2nd. Purple People Eater alive and well here at New Smyrna. Swank all over the back bumper of our 2nd place driver. That's right on board with Ramsey, looking back at the rest of the field behind. You can see Swank trying the crossover move here, trying to enter a little bit higher, roll a little bit more momentum, and then cut that car down. But that time, Ramsey doing a really good job at waiting for the exact right moment to get on the loud pedal to get a good run off, but also kill that momentum of the car behind. All that time, though, Swank with a big run won't quite be enough. We'll be able to get right to the back bumper. Maybe some contact there, maybe, as that was as close as you can get here in these street stocks. All that time, Swank to the outside of the 41. Can he keep it? Oh, Ramsey had to lift. That could be the opening the 35 needs. Side-by-side battle for 2nd. And Ron Hart waiting in the catbird seat right behind these two as they'll go side-by-side into turns number 1 and 2. Zach Coyer probably doesn't want to see the 35 or the 51 behind. He hopes these guys can battle it out for as long as possible because now only 40 laps left into this one. Zach Coyer has led every lap here tonight. Like I said, folks, still looking for his first ever ASRC win. And Ramsey will lose that 3rd position to the 51 machine of Ron Hart. Last night at New Smyrna, Hart finished in the P number 3 spot. Right now, we're going to tie that finish here at the moment. He sits in 3rd position. Further towards the back here, some drivers struggling with the handling of their race cars. Dave Payton sits in the 12th position. Andrew Harding's at 10th. Stephen Hoffman 9th. So some kind of bigger names here towards the back of this one, struggling with the handling of their race cars as this run goes on. Right on board with our second place runner, Hayden Swank. He has now about just over 3/4 of a second gap to run down our race leader. Has time on his side, luckily, about 35 laps to do so, but here tonight it seems like a big time doozy to make a pass, so that's going to be where it becomes very tough. Further towards the back here, Ty Delphia, Stephen Hoffman goes side by side. Ty able to hang on to the 8th position here at the moment. Further towards the front here, like I said, point battle, championship battle between these two cars. The 48 machine of Tim Rogers sits 6th. Stephen Rochford sits currently in the 7th position. So if they were to finish how they're running at the moment, Rogers would only knock 1 point off the 66th lead and leave it at 9 points going into the last race. Rogers probably, to be comfortable, at least wants to probably knock off around 4 points if he can here tonight, call it a success. What he cannot afford to do at all is to lose points to the 66 machine. Looks like Zach Nichols calling it a night after getting trapped 1 lap down, so Nichols will not find his way to another checkered flag here this season. At least tonight at New Smyrna. Further up towards the front here, Ron Hart maybe losing a little bit of pace because Caleb Ramsey has turned it back up, looking all over the back bumper of the 51 machine here. Towards the back here, Dave Payton getting back up into the 11th position. He will try and salvage maybe a top 10 run, but this battle from 3rd through about 7th starting to accordion together here late into this one. All about 5 of those cars within 2 car lengths or less from each other. Up towards the front though, Hayden Swank has cut down the race lead significantly. He has now within a 1/4 second of Zach Core. That's about 2 car lengths or so. So Swank timing his momentum right, timing his pace right as well, because with the amount of laps left, he has a lot of time to try and make a move as well as complete it before this race is over with. Zach Core has led all 73 laps. Here comes Swank. He'll take a look to the inside going into turn number 3. Core gonna slam the door shut, drive it in there deep, and now he'll have to keep his eyes glued on that rear view mirror and try and keep the Purple People Eater at bay for about 26 more laps. It's gonna be a tall order to do. That's Core at this point. I think he wants to see a caution flag, slow down the field, cool off those tires, and then give it another go. But a caution never guaranteed. Hayden Swank, we saw him trying to do that to Caleb Ramsey. Eventually waited for that 41 to make a mistake. He's trying that same thing, entering in high, getting that car to cut at the apex and then drive it off each corner very nicely. That time to go, I should say that time by at the stripe. We go into the countdown clock here. It is now 24 laps to go this time by. Core and Swank almost made contact last time by through turns 3 and 4. But so far, Coyer out in front, leading the way here tonight. Coyer gets a little bit loose there at the apex. Not sure if he got some help or not. But Swink will look to the inside. Can't quite get the run, so will follow back into line. Coyer has to run his best race pretty much ever here to keep that 35 at bay, with now going to be 22 laps at the stripe. It's definitely going to be a tall order. But if there's one guy feeling the pressure, it is this 13 machine. It is such a tough feeling to see that car close in the rearview mirror and then be there lap after lap, just demanding perfection from you. Because you want to push the car, drive away from him. But once you start pushing that car, it's like being in a rocking chair. You'll push yourself right over, smack the head of your back or the back of your head on the concrete and say, man, what was I thinking? Further on back, the pass that Tim Rogers did not want to see here tonight. Stephen Rochford to the inside of the 48 here with 20 laps to go. Stephen Rochford away and clear. He has completed the pass, so move Rochford up into 6th. Tim Rogers back into 7th. Right now battle for the race lead with now 19 laps to go. Hayden Swank down low. Cold Beer Coyer up in the 2nd lane, trying to defend here. Coyer will have the better run off turn number 2, but here in 3 and 4, this is where it gets tough up in lane number 2. They will go side by side and make it work here for the time being. Coyer will get clear from Swank, so Coyer survives another attack here tonight. Coyer has to be careful, can't allow the 35 machine up in that 2nd lane. He will have to get on the loud pedal, not allow Swank up there. It's gonna be close, as I think maybe Swank had to lift all that time. Swank up in the marbles, might not like that move. And with these two battling on out, here comes that freight train of cars. They are starting to close in the gap just a little bit. Now make it 16 laps to go at the stripe. Swank still trying to make that line work. Further on back, Chuck Darling. Not sure if he got some help, but he seemed a little out of sorts. He has a 66 now. Stephen Rochford right on the back bumper. So that accordion starts to tighten on up just a little bit more as the hourglass continues to run on out here tonight. 14 to go at the stripe. Battle for the race lead. Hayden Swank all over that back bumper. Swank will go way high there. I think that might have been a little bit too high up in the marbles. Ron Hart in the 51 can smell blood up in front. He is starting to put just a little bit of gap to the 41 of Ramsey, trying to catch these race leaders before it's all said and done. At this point, whatever tire you have left saved on up, you are using it on up, trying to drive this car at 95% capacity. Swank once again going to check out the left rear quarter panel of Coyer. Can't quite get the run down low on that inside lane. Further on back, not sure if having some issues or what's going on. Andrew Harding's down on pit road. Dave Payton disconnected as well. So right now only 11 cars out on the speedway and 11 cars left in this one with 11 laps to go. Coyer continues to hold off some big time charges. That time by from the flagman to open palms. It is 10 laps to go at New Smyrna. Zach Coyer looking for his first ever ASRC win. I believe Hayden Swank looking for his first ever win this season. Visited victory lane quite a few times last season, looking to keep a streak alive. of winning in a street stock here in ASRC. So both drivers racing for a lot in this one here in the closing stages, with now single digits left into this one. Out in front, these race leaders pushing hard, pushing their cars, slipping and sliding now, as they have turned up the wick to about max intensity. This time by at the stripe, 7 to go. Further on back, Stephen Hoffman, Ty Delphia side by side, as Hoffman looks to the inside of the 13. Will do the same down in 1 and 2. They make some contact. Only side-by-side battle on the speedway. These two race cars are trying to hang on and salvage the best race they can here tonight. With 6 laps to go here, Stephen Rochford still all over the back bumper of Chuck Darling. Darling doing a great job at running some great pace with a car right on his nose, then another car right on the tail tank. That time Ramsey gets a little bit loose. This could open up the door for Darling as he'll dive it in there in turns 1. Darling will try and make it happen, won't quite get clear. Will slot on in. Stephen Rochford will look to the outside of the 88. Further towards the back here, Ace Hart getting around JT Batson. So I'll put Ace Hart back into the top 10 here with now 4 laps to go. Can Zach Poyer get the job done? Have Lady Luck on his side? He has to do it for just 3 more laps this time by. He has a lot of pressure from Hayden Swank. Let's ride on board with our race leader. Looking on back to our second place driver. Can't see him on corner entry. Oh, that time Hayden Swank way up the racetrack. This time by, popsicle sticks up in the air. It is 2 laps to go. Poyer just needs to hit his marks, prevent Hayden Swank from getting any sort of big time runs. As Swank right there, you can see him close on up a ton corner entry. But here we go, folks. This time by, the white flag's out. 1 more lap to go here at New Smyrna. Hayden Swank will need a good run down the backstretch and try any sort of move. Will he put the bumper to Poyer here through 3 and 4? Looks like he will not. Off of turn number 4, Zach Poyer is an ASRC winner. Hayden Swank will finish second. Ron Hart will round out the podium here tonight. Caleb Ramsey in 4th. Chuck Darling in 5th. And with the points battle going into next week, Stephen Rochford has an 11-point advantage over Tim Rogers. But here we go, the 31 machine down on the front stretch, gonna burn it on down and celebrate. He will get a lot of congratulations from the fellow competitors, and I know what, this win has been a long way coming. This guy finally gets the monkey off his back. And I tell you what, folks, you won't want to miss the interview with this guy. We'll be chatting with him last on the list, but I tell you what, it won't be a one you want to miss, because this guy gonna be pumped up after this one. So Zach Poyer will park it here on the start-finish line, bring it down to victory lane. And don't go anywhere, folks, because after a quick 2-minute commercial break, we'll be back with our post-race interviews.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Alrighty, folks, we come back here at the new Smyrna Speedway and gonna be chatting with our third place finisher. First driver we'll be talking to tonight here is the 51 machine of Ron Hart. Ron, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Yeah, Brett, I am.
Alrighty, so here tonight, 100 laps in the street stocks. How we feeling after it?
Probably a little better than last night. I didn't get any practice. I think I made one lap before qualifying, so just messed the stuff on the setup. Tanner usually builds a right rear burner, so I started the race off with the brake bias high and kind of planning on saving the right rear, and realized about lap 20 that it was going to burn the right front off, and I think I did a little more damage that first 20 laps to the right front than I should have, and really needed to move that brake bias sooner. So once we got the brake bias where it needed to be, we could be okay. And then the last 20 laps, I found a really good line in 3 and 4 with these cars. You could like hook the apron and help it turn. And I was able to run the leaders back down doing that. I picked up over a tenth. And if I could have did that the whole race, it might have been a little different. But P3 with no practice, we'll take it.
Yeah, definitely a good night out here tonight. A P number 3, just like last night at New Smyrna. So, like you said before, one of your favorite tracks you're showing up on the podium both nights. And yeah, Ron, definitely catching those guys at the end. Like you said, figuring out that line in 3 and 4. Is that what maybe would have done it if there wasn't more laps left in this one?
Yeah, I think I just did too much damage to the tires early on running the top. I think if I could have ran that line the whole race in the bottom with the brake bias all the way down, I think I could have beat those guys. But just didn't really get enough laps beforehand to know what I needed to do. So just took a guess at it and guessed wrong.
Yeah, definitely a tough call, but yeah, that's the joy of these kind of dynamic weathers, right? And kind of not knowing the setups. I know one lap of practice definitely not enough time, but that's kind of the joys of these, that everyone has the same race car, but it's those fine adjustments that really makes or break it when it comes to these fixed setups, right?
Yeah, and Tanner does a good job kind of keeping us on our toes. You know, he's been building them pretty free where they burn the right rear off. So just a totally different feel to it tonight. And, the guys who hit that right did a good job. And I was really surprised Zach was able to hold off Hayden there. You know, he got out to a pretty good lead. I thought he would cook his tires, but must have did a good job, just enough saving him there to get his first win. So congrats to him, man. I cost him one at Myrtle Beach, so I'm glad to see him getting one here. And been a long time coming for him to get a win.
Yeah, that it has been. I said it's going to be a fan favorite one. And Ron, I got to bring up, your kid Ace Hart starting on the front row here tonight as well as last night. That's got to be pretty cool, right? And he once again held his own and a top 10 finish here as well.
Yeah, proud of him tonight, man. That's why I was late. I changed out. He had an old G29. He kind of beat the hell doing Wreckfest and a bunch of other stuff with it. I just don't think it was as smooth as it was new. He's had it for a couple years. So I about 7:45, half hour before practice started, I said I was going to swap it out. So I went and got my old Thrustmaster out of storage, and it's got my big old 14-inch street stock wheel on it and all that, and I think that did help him, but he didn't get it in there until 8:30, and it's totally different for him. So he had to learn that on the fly, but I do think it made him smoother. He made a couple green flag passes late in the race he was pretty pumped about, and I think he kept up better than he has. Kept it clean, so that was good. But I think this wheel will help him. Unfortunately, next week will be his last race for a while. Bedtime comes early in the winter. I'm starting middle school. He won't be able to stay up till 10 o'clock and run these things anymore. So hopefully, he has a good run next week, and then hopefully, he still wants to do it next summer so we can do some more.
Yeah, for sure. And we look forward to seeing him back out here whenever he gets a chance to. And yeah, Ron, like you said, 1 week left next week at Iowa. It's going to be drafting, big time momentum, how we feel going into there, because it seems like it could be anyone's race, right?
Yeah, it's just kind of a crapshoot with these cars, like you said. It's almost a drafting track, and but tire wear will still come into play, and track position will be big. Um, it's a fun race, man. Hopefully, throw a couple slide jobs in there, and you can get it done at that track, and find ourselves up front at the end. Like to win one more before the year's over.
Yeah, it would be good to see the 51 machine back in victory lane. You're no stranger to there. But yeah, Ron, once again, a great finish for you here tonight. P number 3 once again. So before we let you go and celebrate the podium finish, we're going to go hand over the mic to you and have you thank who you got to thank, whether teammates, sponsors, or anyone else you want to give a shout out to on the broadcast.
Yeah, just thanks again for doing it tonight, man. It was hopefully it's a good race for you. A lot of green flag racing, so good job by the field. I think we only had the one caution, so that was nice to see. A lot of good, hard, clean racing here. Shout out again to Zach for that win. About time he got one, and I feel better now that I didn't cost him one at Myrtle Beach and he didn't get it back. So congrats to him on that, and um, that's all I got. Thanks, Brett.
All righty, Ron. Well, thanks again for you showing on up each week and putting on a show, being part of the show. So, Ron, you have yourself a great rest of the night, and I'm sure we'll be talking again here in the future.
I see, man.
All righty, that was our third place finisher, the 51 machine of Ron Hart. Now we'll head to our runner up finisher, that being the 35 machine of Hayden Swank. Hayden, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
I got a copy, Brett. How's it going?
Oh man, it's going good. How we feeling yourself, my man, after 100 laps here at New Smyrna?
Oh man, I knew it was going to be tough to pass tonight. So if you told me I'd make it up to second at the beginning of the night, I would have been ecstatic. But coming up just short like that, it kind of stings a little. But definitely happy to see Zach get his first win here.
Yeah, it definitely is really cool to see. And, was that in the back of your mind when you're battling Corey? Like, hey, I don't want to take him out of this. Cost us both a shot at this one when it's all said and done.
Yeah, actually, I definitely wasn't trying to move him out of the way, but I didn't even know that would have been his first win until I was checking out the broadcast after. So, that wasn't in my mind. I was definitely trying to grab that one for myself there.
Yeah, and I tell you what, you seem like, especially after that caution, you had the car to be able to jump out with a great run on that outside lane, quickly jump into third. And I was like, man, Hayden Swank and this purple people eater machine on a mission, and you were.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I was definitely taking it easy, just taking the passes as they came to me. When it came to that first run, but then afterwards, I felt like track position was going to be so important. So it's definitely just go time and getting as much as I could as fast as I could.
Yeah, and Hayden, you said passes were tough, but you were the biggest mover of the night. So what was kind of the key that you found? Because especially as we were watching you battle and Zach Coyer and other cars, we saw you entering high, trying to time that momentum and then get that run off the corner. But it seemed so tough to do because you didn't want to touch those marbles, right?
Yeah, it was definitely tricky. First half of the race, you could definitely make a pass work on the bottom, just kind of turn it in later, getting a cut under the guy. But as the race went along, track or the bottom just got so tight. So outside was the only way to go. So it was definitely a challenge to try and time up those runs to get to somebody's right rear quarter on the outside and start to make a pass that way.
Yeah, it definitely seemed tough. I think, for you to get the win, what more do you think you needed? Maybe a little bit more turn at the apex or just some more laps, maybe?
Yeah. I was working pretty hard to get through the pack there. I think I needed to get through the traffic a little quicker. I think if I had a little bit more time to run by myself and not burn my tires as much, I could have got the Zach. And then I think there was also a world where once I got to him, I just cooled my tires again and waited. I just assumed I could get by him a little bit quicker, and I think if I saved my stuff, I could have made a charge at the end that would have resulted in more. Who knows if it actually gets it done though.
Yeah, definitely would have been tough, but a heck of a race by you, Hayden. And these short tracks, man, you always do good at. New Smyrna, is this one of your favorites? You looked on rails here tonight.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, to be honest with you, but it's always a place I'll run good, whether it be the ASRC officials, who you name it. We're always going to have a piece here. So I guess now that I think about it, maybe it is one of my favorites.
Yeah, definitely a fun track, especially what makes or breaks New Smyrna. It's kind of like Southern National, right? Is the group of guys you're racing with, because we know this track, anyone can fire it to the inside and just wipe people out going into one, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's probably why I don't run the the officials here all too often, but hats off to this whole crew. I mean, we make it through a track like this with one wreck, and beyond that, I mean, we talked about the battle at the front. There was battles everywhere all night long, and it was just a lot of fun. So, definitely hats off to this whole crowd. It's been really fun to race on the short tracks here with y'all this season.
Yeah, definitely fun. And Hayden, we know kind of a part-time schedule for you this season. How we looking for next season? You think you might be able to make all of them and make that championship push?
We're back. Yeah. Next season is definitely going to be the push. We make it the championship. Season before this, came kind of close, podium on the championship points, but I think next season we'll be in a place where we'll be able to really contend for it and make all the races for starters.
Yeah, that will be awesome. And that's step number one, especially with no drop weeks. Every week counts, right?
100%.
Alrighty, Hayden. Well, once again, congrats on the runner-up finish. You had an awesome race here tonight. But before we let you go, we're going to go hand over the mic to you and have you thank who you got to thank, whether sponsors, teammates, or anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to on the broadcast here tonight.
Yeah, yeah, just huge shout out to Zach. I was really excited that he was able to get his first win here tonight. Just shout out to everybody tonight. It was really great racing all through the field. I mean, that's why we run this series, right? Can't find much better short track racing on the iRacing service anywhere else. So definitely excited to be a part of it. Looking forward to closing out the season next week at Iowa, and really looking forward to a full championship run next season.
Yeah, we look forward to see what that 35 machine has, because especially in these street stocks, especially at Boring's, man, you're one of the guys to contend for a win. So Hayden, thanks again for spending your night with us. We appreciate you. We love to see this car out here putting on a great show for all the fans. So Hayden here tonight, congrats on the runner-up, and you, my man, have a great rest of your night.
Yes, sir. Right back at you.
Alrighty, folks, that was our runner-up finisher, the 35 machine of Hayden Swank. Now we'll head down to Victory Lane and talk to the man of the hour. It is the 13 machine of Zach Coyer. Zach, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Yes, sir, I do.
Alrighty, man. First and foremost, how are we feeling to pick up the win after 100 laps here at New Smyrna?
Man, exhausted, happy. Hayden definitely made me earn that one, that's for sure. Kudos to him for racing me clean.
Yeah, and that it was. I mean, it was not a gimme race. And Zach, I tell you what, it's been a long time since we've seen a driver go flag to flag, lead every single lap. You did that here tonight for your first ever ASRC win. Wow.
Man, it definitely feels good. The first part of the race, I was just trying to conserve as much tire and get a good little gap and stay out. And then we got the yellow, and then try to get another good little gap. And once I seen Hayden get around second place there, I knew it was time to go. And he definitely ran me down and showed me what he had. But like I said, kudos to him for racing me clean. I greatly appreciate that. And he definitely made me earn it. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely a mirror full of another race car for the last 30 laps. And Zach, I know I even said in the broadcast, you did not want to see any sort of cautions, especially as it seems so tough to make their way through the field. That bunches up everyone. And like you said, probably mindset, time to crank it on up, especially once you saw 35 in second, right?
Yeah, knowing how good this group is, I wasn't expecting a caution. Honestly, that's why I'm glad I kind of hit the invert. Like I said, I'm not a hot lap hero. I haven't figured out how to qualify yet, but thankfully, I always hit the invert. And knowing how good this group is, I didn't expect a caution. So when we got one there, I definitely was nervous. And then after that, it was just I had to stay out of my own head and just continue what I hitting my marks and making it smooth and getting where I needed to be. And like I said, once Hayden got there, it was time to definitely turn it up.
Yeah, and I mean, I even said in the broadcast, I mean, it is such a tough mindset to have leading the race, knowing that, hey, you want to push the car, drive away from the car behind. But once you overstep that line, let's say, it could go out the window in a hurry, push on up, get loose. So how tough was it to stay in your rhythm knowing that you got big time pressure for 30 straight laps?
It was for sure hard. Like I said, like you said, it is the one little swerve and it could be game over here. So that's why I was trying my hardest to hit my marks, and I knew where they were, and I felt pretty good about it. And I tried my hardest not to look in my mirror and just race him clean. I know he got to my inside at one point, and it was a drag race, and I knew the outside would be stronger, so I kind of stuck to where I was at. And then once I got him behind me, I knew middle to bottom was the way to do it, and it would be impossible to pass, and it worked out.
Yeah, that it did. You drove your butt off here tonight, Zach, and a great win. And I mean, how does it feel finally get the monkey off your back? I think now 80 races, a long way coming, and multiple heartbreaks. I can think of man, I already forgot the name of
Yeah, the Myrtle Beach
Myrtle
one.
Beach.
There's been a
Yeah,
couple of them, yeah, and like I said, I've finished second a bunch, and this is a good group of guys, so it definitely feels good to get a win against all of them.
yeah, and I tell you what, 1 week left now at Iowa. How we feeling to go from the back there to pick up a win and maybe try and pick up some more checkered flags now that you got the toughest one out of the way?
Unfortunately, this was my last week for the season. I'll be on vacation next week, so I'll be watching right along there, watching you call it and watching a good race. But hopefully, the next seasons, I'll be able to start where I left off with this race and go for another checker. And like I said, this is a good group of guys. So anytime I finish in the top five, I'm grateful knowing that I'm racing against these guys, and with the amount of talent that's in this league, it's definitely a hard earned victory if you get in the top five, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, definitely top fives are earned in every position after that. It is a hard fought battle, and Zach, you come out victorious. And yeah, what a way, I guess, to end the season, right? On the top step, on the podium. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, I didn't really feel good about this track, but teammate Anthony Dant, he's given me a lot of pointers, and Mark Fuquay and all of them have given me pointers and tried to help me along the street stocks, because I've raced with them and a bunch of other stuff, and I know they're both faster, so I try to take advice from them any chance I get, and Dant has just helped me so much, so I got to give a huge shout out to him.
Yeah, definitely those teammates help a lot to not only bounce ideas off of during the race, but where you can learn. Because as we know, especially in fixed setup racing, right, every single adjustment is super critical, as well as the inputs once you start racing, right?
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Everybody might have the same setup, but it definitely comes in hand whether it's pedals, wheels, equipment, consistency, everything down to the T will affect you in a fixed setup. That's why you gotta make sure you hit your marks and do what you gotta do to be fast.
Yeah, that you do. And tonight you were fast, Zach. So before we have you crack open a cold one, we're going to go hand over the mic to you and have you think who you got to thank, whether
Well,
sponsors, teammates, or anyone else on the broadcast here down in Victory Lane.
man, there's tons of pages of people I'd like to thank, but I gotta thank the important ones. That's you guys up in the booth. That's Tanner and Andrew for putting this together. Boardwalk Subs, all them great sponsors. LaPlante, Danta, Fuquay, Caleb, all of them for helping me get on this, get these street stocks under control. Vade for this awesome paint scheme, and Molly, my old lady, for watching me and giving me encouragement throughout the whole race through text messaging and whatnot. But yeah, there's just so many people I could thank. It'd go on forever.
Well, awesome stuff, Zach. Once again, congrats on the first ever ASRC win. I knew this was going to be a popular one, so you, my man, go celebrate it on up. And I tell you what, I am pumped up that you got it done here tonight.
Appreciate it, Bubba. Like I said, it's always good hearing your voice. When I finally get to talk to you in victory lane, it definitely feels good. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, not much better feeling out there. So Zach, go celebrate the win. I'm sure you'll be having a great time all night. So when I wrap up in the broadcast, I'm for sure heading to the after party down in the 13 pit.
Hey, sounds good. Cold beer on me, that's for sure.
Heck yeah. Alrighty, Zach. Well, have a great one. Enjoy it, my man.
Appreciate you, Bubba. Thank you again.
Alrighty, folks. That was Zach Coyer picking up his first ever ASRC win here at New Smyrna. Man, I tell you what, that guy is pumped up about this win, and I'm pumped up for him as he definitely earned that one. Having pressure for 30 laps, one of the toughest feelings you could have for a race car driver. So let's head through the race results, get things wrapped on up, and get everyone set on out of here. So Zach Coyer in the 13 machine picks up his first ever ASRC win. Hayden Swank in the 35 will finish second. Ron Hart will finish third the second night in a row. Caleb Ramsey in the 41 machine, a great run for him. He will finish in fourth. Chuck Darling in the 88 will round out the top five. Points leader Stephen Roachfort in the 66 will finish sixth. Seventh going to the 48 of Tim Rogers. Eighth place Ty Delphia in the 013, I believe, will take over third in points. Ninth place going to Stephen Hoffman in the 86, and Ace Hart picking up yet another top 10 finish in the 145. JT Batson in the 014 will finish 11th. 12th going to Andrew Hardings. 13th to 38 of Dave Payne. And Zach Nichols in the 44 will finish 14th. So that would do it here tonight. Thanks again to all the live viewers tuning on in here, as well as the replay viewers. We appreciate each and every one of you guys stopping by the Turn 3 Racing Network and listening to me yap a little bit about race cars here. So we also got to give a huge shout out to all the racers taking the time out of their night, spending it with us, and putting on the great show that we can enjoy. Also got to give a huge shout out to ASRC, the admin team, and all their partners, that being Boardwalk Subs, LaPlante Racing Products, and Postma Flooring. Also, Turn 3 Racing Network is partnered with Premier Setups. You can find a link in the description. That will take you over to their website if you want some great and fast setups, whether pavement, dirt, paint schemes, anything else you may want. That will take you on over there. A click would go a long way, even if you don't want to buy anything. So that will do it here tonight. Next week, championship night, Tuesday night, late model stocks at Kern County. And then these guys, the Street Stock Series at Iowa for the finale. You won't want to miss it here, folks. So everyone take care, stay safe, have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you next week for championship week. I've been Brett the Jet in the booth, and I just flew by you. Have a good one.